welcome to this video. This video is going to be my Letterboxd Top 4. Picking 4 favorite films is criminal. Like, it is so beyond, like, diabolical to have somebody just pick 4 movies, because, it's bad. Like, there's no way. And in selecting my personal top 4, I've switched it around a couple times, because sometimes you're in the mood, right? And like your favorites change with time. There's a couple of constants in my life. However, they also just kind of like, I think when I tried to craft them, I wanted to make it like be reflective of who I am, but also like I wanted it to reflect different genres. So I'll explain in a bit, because there's one that I literally a couple days ago switched, because I was like, well, I love this movie a lot, but I don't watch it as much as this other film, because I wanted to kind of expand. I wanted like a little bit of every genre, but I digress. God, I love guavas. If you're interested, you can go follow me on Letterboxd. I am Senorita Awesome. Actually, I think my username in order to follow me is Jellyboo, but I'll link it below. This is what my Letterboxd looks like. Oh, you're getting like a weird reflection. I am a patron, so I do have like a cool little background on there. And that's all. So, my 4 favorites on Letterboxd. We're gonna start off strong, and this is one that has been constant since like the beginning of time, and that is Jurassic Park. So, Jurassic Park to me, I say this as I'm looking at like a little figurine I have of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Wow. God, what a movie. That movie changed my life. I think when I was a little girl, watching that movie, I can't even really recall like how old I was, but I was very, very young. And first thing I noticed was how beautiful Laura Dern was. I remember seeing her and I was like, she's so cool. Like, I want to be an archaeologist, paleontologist. Like, I wanted to do what she did, paleontologist, I guess. And I was just enamored by I thought that what she and Sam Neill, yeah, well, both of them, I thought that like what they were doing was so cool, and I wanted to be just like them. And the other thing I noticed was that Jeff Goldblum was one of the early loves of my life. That movie is, I dare say, perfect. Every time, without fail, on every rewatch, it is just as thrilling, like, scary even. Like, the freaking kitchen scene where the kids are hiding. You cannot tell me that scene doesn't eat. Like, that shit is so good. It's scary. You're like, oh my god. But you're like, wait, this movie came out 20 years ago. I already saw it. I know exactly what happens. But there's still a little, like, scariness to it. A little spooky-ooky. And the dinosaurs, oh my god. They look incredible. I mean, you can't, like, oh my god, I'm, like, freaking out just, like, talking about it. The way that they created, the practical effects, all of the effects on this film, not just, like, for the time, but to this day, like, they hold up so well. It's so cool. The directing of the movie, that opening scene, it, like, sets the tone, and we're like, oh my god, dinosaurs, how scary. And it's cool. I love it when a movie makes you fear things that aren't necessarily an actual threat to you. For example, dinosaurs aren't really a threat to us because they're not around anymore. But you're sitting there watching this and you're like, oh my god, I'm scared of these dinosaurs. It's different where if you're watching like a slasher and there's a guy killing people, that's pretty scary because that can happen in real life. But to be afraid of something that isn't an actual threat to you, I don't know. It's so well. The directing is beautiful. The music, oh my god, John Williams. It's the most perfect music you could ever imagine. I hear that music. I go to Universal Studios. I get on the Jurassic World ride. I cry every single time. I mean, I hear that music and it's like, to quintessential summer film, and it is so perfect. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and they re-released it, and it was in theaters. Was it in IMAX? I don't remember if it was IMAX or just regular. I had to be IMAX, and I went with my family to watch. I don't know if I went with my family or my sister. Anyways, we went and watched it, and I was like, oh my, it's the perfect like popcorn, cherry icy movie. It's so much fun. It's so thrilling. It's got some super cool shots. Like, these are movies that have stood the test of time, and they are just as relevant and exciting and entertaining today. Alright, I'll move on to my second favorite, Jennifer's Body. So, Jennifer's Body, I watched earlier, like when it came. I want to say I didn't go see it in theaters, so I saw it, like, I remember renting it from Blockbuster or Redbox, whatever was around. It changed my life, I fear. It was so cool when I saw it. I was like, this is amazing. And this was like hype Megan Fox obsession because Transformers and whatnot. And so her doing this was so cool. And I remember watching this and I was like, dude, this shit is so funny. I also remember being, 15 years old and like watching the Jennifer and Needy kiss on repeat a couple of times. Very interesting feelings that I had. It is so smart, so like funny, witty. Diablo Cody like creates this really cool atmosphere. It's an atmosphere that I find is kind of similar. Well, obviously, so she did Lisa Frankenstein this year. Very similar atmosphere. Like it's I don't know how else to describe it other than the word cool. And it's very spooky. I find like Jennifer's Body is scary at times. And you're watching her kill these boys and you're like, this is scary, but I'm okay with it. Like, this is wrong, but like she's not wrong. Oh, such great performances by everyone involved. It, to me, at the moment that it came out, I fear it was mismarketed. People were expecting something totally different. They went in and they were like, oh, this hot bitch is just a bitch and she's killing dudes, boo. And they didn't get it. And by they, I mean men. I don't think men understood this movie. Now it's a cult classic and now it's much more appreciated. But yeah, that movie, amazing. Okay, my third favorite on here is a little movie by the name of Atomic Blonde. Now, Atomic Blonde is starring Charlize Theron, and it came out in 2017, and it's also starring James McAvoy, and it is perfect. It's so good. It also has Sofia Boutella, and this movie is like, it's exciting. The action is so well. The choreography on the fight scenes, so sick. It's got some of the best like fighting that I've seen. I also love the atmosphere. It takes place in like 80s Berlin, like right at the fall of the Berlin Wall. So the music, the lighting, it's all like, it's so, it's such a specific aesthetic. It is very satisfying to me. I have such like a nostalgia for something that I've never experienced, which is the 80s. I always have. And like the lighting, the music, the kind of just like the feeling of like the way the yes, so it's great. Like, Charlize Theron is fantastic actress, but this is one of my favorite roles of hers. It's just cool. Like, oh, it's so good. I watch it whenever I can. I just throw it on. It's awesome. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Now for my final top 4 that I have on my Letterboxd, this is the one that I recently switched out because this one kind of like varies. I'll tell you what I had before the one I'm about to tell you. So what I had for a while was My Best Friend's Wedding. To me, that is like my favorite rom-com. I guess, yeah, it's like a rom-com. Some might call it a horror movie, but that's for other reasons. That movie is, like, in that genre, I mean, I have a handful of favorites, but that one was, like, the first where I really related, because I remember I was a teenager, I saw this movie, and starring Julia Roberts, and it was the first film that I saw that, like, it subverted what my expectations were for a happy ending, because this is, I mean, now I'm like debating spoilers, but the movie's been out for 20 years, I don't know. It just like, it doesn't end in the way you would think, or the way you would expect, like a happy ending, traditional happy ending. And you're just like, oh. And I was like, wait, I didn't want that to happen. And then I was like, wait, that's kind of beautiful. And as I've gotten older, I watched that movie, and it like, there's so many layers to it. It's just her, like, she and her best friend Dermot Mulroney, who I totally understand being in love with because I love that man, and they've been best friends forever. And then she finds out he's engaged. If you haven't seen this movie, oh my god, please go watch it. Finds out he's engaged to Cameron Diaz, and then she's like, wait, no, he's mine. Like, I think I realize I'm in love with him. So she tries to like separate them and get him to fall in love with her because, you know, they're meant to be, you know, because they've been best friends forever. And it's just like, I think being older and watching it, you're like, wow, there's a lot of levels to this, of like, sometimes as people we're very complex, and as girls we feel certain ways and we feel things very deeply, and sometimes we feel like we have ownership over people, or I don't know, there's so much, and it kind of like really puts a lot of stuff into perspective. That movie makes me think so much, and I love it, and I cry every time. Okay, but I did change that because as much as I love that movie, I think also with the season and the vibe, and right now, I currently have, to round out my top 4, Scream, the original Scream film. It, to me, again, this is a very hard, like, horror film in general, horror movies in general are so special to me, and this is like neck and neck. I think I could switch it back and forth between Scream, Halloween 1978, and Halloween 2018, because those movies are just so wow. Like, Michael Myers and Ghostface have always been my favorite icons of film and horror. But Scream, I have it on there right now because I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. It is something I will throw on in the background. It's just like a comfort movie for me. It really is. And it's so much fun. It's like one of those scary fun movies, and it's just a good time. Like, you throw it on, everybody's having a good time. I don't know, it's so good. I love the new ones as well. I loved Scream 5 and Scream 6. I think they are so well done. Scream 6 was incredible, I think, for being the first film in the franchise to not have Neve Campbell. It did such so long, and I was like, oh no, I'm one of those, like, typical Fight Club, Dark Knight, Godfather, like, you know, the classic Letterboxd Top Four. And not that, like, I'm afraid of being, like, stereotypical, but I did move it because there's just these other movies that have really impacted me, that I wanted to share. But The Dark Knight, I feel like I've talked about that movie so many times in my life, on this channel, on other channels. I don't know what else to say about it. It changed my life. I say this about every movie, I think. It was like, at my age, when I watched Batman Begins, and that started something in me. So when The Dark Knight came out, I was fully immersed in Batman, DC, comic book movie. Like, it was just at the peak of it, so it really impacted me. And I still think that movie, I still think to this day that movie's a 10 out of 10. I get upset when I think about this movie should have won an Oscar. Like, these movies need to be recognized in these awards shows. Whatever. Who cares? Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Amazing performance. I love that movie so much. That's just, this is so hard. There's, like, tons of other movies that I love and I rewatch so many times, but that's just to show you guys my top 4 and a couple of extra shout outs. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna, like, stop yapping because I'm gonna start thinking of other movies, and I'm gonna, like, then start talking about, oh, I just want to shout out one more movie, actually, because I talk about it occasionally, and every time I've asked someone if they watched it, the answer is no. This is a movie directed by Guy Ritchie, and it's called Rock and Rolla. Like, rock and rolla. And it is fantastic. Shout out to Guy Ritchie because he makes some fantastic, like, solid films, and I feel like they always have, like, a limited run, or they're like there's not like a huge marketing, so, like, you have to, like, be, like, looking out for these movies in order to find out, because a casual viewer, I feel like sometimes just doesn't stumble upon them. And I think that movie it's